At the 2014 Good Beer Festival in Pemberton Park, Fin City founder and brewer Vince Wright talked about his transformation from home brewer to pro brewer.
Okay, he's going to pass out our Captain Jack's Pumpkin Ale, and what I'm going to do is give you just a snapshot of a typical brewing day. For me, it starts off with my day job. I travel all over the country selling microwave and RF components to NASA, Northrop Grumman, defense contractors. So, can everybody hear me? Janet, can you hear me? You're in the back. Okay, good. All right, so I'm all over the country with that job, and sometimes I don't get back home until 11:30 at night, and that's at BWI, so I got to drive home from there. By the time I get to Salisbury, I get home, change my clothes, then I drive out to the brewery and do my night job. And when I get to the brewery, I don't know if you guys have ever been out to Hooper's Crab House, but there's no AC. So it's pretty hot out there. And we have a steam-fired system, and we're in the loft of this building. So it's very hot upstairs, and I could get up to 115, 120 degrees sometimes. So first thing I do is I crush my malts. And home brewers, by hand, raise your hand, any home brewers here? Okay, you know what it's like if you crush your malts. That flour, you know, the malt flour that gets in the air, you breathe that in, and you have flour loogies the rest of the day. It's not pleasant, but you're sweating and it's all in your eyes. It's nasty, but okay, you're doing all that, and you're also thinking about your next steps. There's 1,000 steps in brewing. Everybody knows. Everybody that brews knows that it's not an easy thing. There's a lot of things that you can forget to do that can screw up your batch, but you're constantly thinking about the next thing to do. And again, when it's 110 degrees, you tend to get tired of that real quick. You get sweaty, you get hot. But anyway, you're mashed in, and you wait your 45 minutes to an hour for your conversion to take place. And the whole time you're thinking, with all this flour in your eyes and sweat all over your back, it's like, I got to be the luckiest guy in the world, because I get to make beer every day. And those that homebrew know what I'm talking about. When that first aroma hits you, when you mash in, when you dough in, there's nothing like it. And then your first hop addition, the smell of those hops when you're brewing, it fills the room, and it's like, if I could do this every day, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. So that's what I get to do every day. I get to make beer, I get to talk to people about beer, and to me, it's my day job. I enjoy it. I love sales. I love talking to people. But there's a big difference between talking to engineers and scientists about microwave filters and talking to everybody about beer. The big difference, the most, for me, it's everybody's happy to see the beer guy, right? Not a lot of people really care about the engineering side of microwave filters. So being that I get to do this for a living, I'm the happiest guy in the world. And how I got my start was I started in my garage, and the beer that you're drinking is our Captain Jack Pumpkin Ale. I live about a mile down the street here in Steeplechase subdivision, and that's the first beer that I made for a competition. And the competition was the 25th anniversary Pumpkin Chunkin'. And everybody know Pumpkin Chunkin', right? Unfortunately, they didn't have it this year because of location problems, but they will have it next year. But anyway, 25th anniversary, we entered that beer, we ended up winning. And we had this huge line in front of our table that wrapped around the inside of the tent and then out to the outside of the tent. And this very large gentleman comes in with these suspenders and this gray beard down to the middle of his waist. And he looked at me, he looked down at me, he was a huge man, he looked down at me, he said, "Hey boy, give me one of your bottles." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, this is for the judges, we're not allowed to give beer away." And he said, "Well, you don't understand something, I'm the founder of this event, and there's some people outside I want to show your label to." So I handed him a bottle, and next thing you know, here comes the Discovery Channel. They were there filming an episode of Brewmasters TV, and Sam Calagione and his daughter were outside reminiscing about how he got his start 16 years prior. So anyway, they put us on the episode, and everybody wanted to know where they could get our beer, and I'm like, well, I made this in my garage. I have like a 6-pack left. So I have to find a place to start a brewery, and I wanted to keep it local, so I decided Ocean City was, I'm a Navy guy, I'm a former Navy guy. Always loved the ocean, wanted to be near the ocean. That's mainly why we moved to this area, to be close enough to where we could enjoy it. And so I decided that Ocean City was going to be the place, and they're having a festival, a beer festival, not this large, but Brews at the Beach, right at Hooper's Crab House. And I heard about it, and I said to my wife, Michelle, who's also my assistant brewmaster, let's go get some tickets and we'll enjoy the festival. So we go out there and to buy some tickets the day before the event, and the place wasn't open. But I walked up and walked into the place and just saw how huge it was. It's a 600-seat crab house if you haven't been there. It's a great venue for craft beer. I mean, it's great avenue for us to get our beers out quickly. They get like 1,200 people to walk through the door every day. So it's a lot of people trying, a lot of different people trying your beer from all over the Mid-Atlantic region. So I saw the place, and I walked out to the deck outside and saw the view of Ocean City, and I'm like, this is it. This is the place I gotta have my beers. So the guy came back, and it turned out to be Patrick Brady, who's one of the, he's the general manager at Hooper's Crab House. And I said to Patrick, I said, I have an idea. He goes, what do you have in mind? I said, well, did you ever think about making your own beer here? He goes, he laughed and he said, no, why? He goes, well, I'm a home brewer and I make beer, and I'd like to see if maybe we can come up with some kind of an arrangement where we make beer here and sell on site. And he says, well, he rolled his eyes first because he's like, oh, home brewer, here we go. And I said, what I'll do is I'll bring some beer to the festival. I'll let you and your employees try it and just let me know what you think. So I brought a couple 6-packs of a chimney soot stout from a kit that I made from Extreme Brewing. And I don't know if you've ever had the chimney soot stout. It's a fantastic beer. But I brought that out, and I also brought my pumpkin ale. And I brought a 12-pack of each and gave it to Patrick. And I said, go ahead and try it. Let me know what you think. We're going to go enjoy the event. We paid for the tickets. We're going to have a good time. So we're out there for a couple hours and feeling pretty good and drinking a lot of different beers, a lot of 60-minute IPA, a lot of 90-minute IPA. I'm a huge fan of Dogfish for obvious reasons. They make great beer, and they gave me an opportunity. So, but anyway, I get a tap on the shoulder when I'm out at the event, and it's Patrick, and he said, come here, we need to have a talk. I'm like, oh geez, what happened? So I walk in, and then on the table, he's got a table set up similar to this, and he had little fish bowls with tickets in them, and then he had beers behind them. Well, there was I'm not going to name the other brewers, but he had a lot of quality pumpkin beers. And there was one that was overflowing with tickets. The other ones were about half full, and there was one that was overflowing. And I said, who's that in the middle? I said, is that Sam's? And he said, no, that's yours. I said, that's mine? You're kidding me. He goes, no, everybody loves your beer. We need to sit down and talk. So that following Monday, I went out to Hooper's, and we shook hands, and 9 months later we had a brewery built. We scoured eBay for equipment. We couldn't, because the reason we scoured eBay is because lead times on brewing equipment at the time were anywhere from 12 to 24 weeks. That's a long time, especially when you're trying to plan a brewery out. So we went on eBay and we figured, look, Dogfish started with used equipment from a dairy industry. Why can't we do the same thing? So we scoured eBay. We got our equipment. I think we spent less than $20,000 for all of our equipment. Set up the brewery up in the loft at Hooper's Crab House, and I think it's safe to say that we're probably the only brewery in a loft in a restaurant above a bar. It's pretty cool. So we don't have any automated equipment. It's all manual. The only thing automated that we have are our pumps to transfer from one tank to another. We have a bright tank that we got halfway through our first season, only because the guys felt sorry for me. I used to carbonate our beers. We did it manually, just like homebrewing, where you hook up the CO2 tank to the sixtel, and you're laid on the side and you rock the keg. Well, I had to do that in a cooler for 5-barrel batches. So I'm in the cooler, 40-degree cooler, for over 2 hours at a time with hoodies on and my iPod and just listening to music, rocking the kegs. Well, I didn't know there was a camera in there, so they were making fun of me at the restaurant playing this on the TV. I'm in there in my lawn chair rocking the keg in the cooler, and I don't miss that at all. If you ever have to, I mean, anybody that's inspired to open a brewery, get a bright tank right away. I'll just say that. But anyway, we ordered our bright tank. It took us 12 weeks to get it in. They sent the wrong one. It came from China. We ordered a jacketed bright tank. They sent in a non-jacketed bright tank. So it had to be sent back. So there was another 12 weeks of rocking in the cooler. So my nickname at the brewery for the first year was Rolo. They just saw me rolling kegs all the time, so they called me Rolo for a while. But anyway, that was our first year, and by the end of the season, I mean, our beers they weren't the best when we first started, because there's a ramp up from going from 5 or 10 gallon batches to going to 5 barrels. There's a big learning curve there. So I'll be the first to admit my beers were not fantastic when we first started. But midway through the season, we made some adjustments and fine-tuned everything, and beer started coming out really, really good. And by the end of the season, we couldn't make our beer fast enough, just at the restaurant. So we made our pumpkin beer, the beer you're drinking, the first year, 5 barrels, and lasted probably 3 weeks. And 5 barrels, that's about 10 kegs. It's about... Yeah. Anyway, a lot of beer real fast, and it went, right? Well, the second year we upgraded to a 7-barrel system, another learning curve. We made the pumpkin beer, and we made a 7-barrel batch, and we kegged it after the restaurant closed on a Friday night. By Sunday morning, the whole 7-barrel batch was gone. People came in with growlers, after growler after growler. People in the restaurant were buying it, but the whole 7-barrel batch is gone. So we went from the first year 3 weeks of that beer lasting to the second year 1 weekend. Not even a whole weekend, like a shift and a half. So this year we made 3 batches, and went really well. But anyway, going from a home brewer to pro brewer is not as easy as everybody thinks, and I say that because you have to find your niche. Everybody can make, hoppy beers, and some are good, some are not. But you got to find a balance. And there's a lot of beers out there, and again, I won't mention names, but there's a lot of beers out there that they pride themselves on having the hoppiest beer, but you're only going to drink one of them if it's not a balanced beer. If that's sitting really heavy on your tongue, you don't want that. It's not a good feeling. If you have a balanced beer, it's going to go down easy. It's going to be smooth drinking. And by the time you're done with it, you're going to say, that was pretty good. I'll have another one of those beers. So that's how we started making all of our beers.
The state of the beer is strong.